We are live. We are live. Let's hit the recording button. Are we already recording? Am I missing numbers? All right. Well, hello, Libranauts. We've got another lovely author interview for you today. For this episode, we're joined by Roselyn Clarke to talk about her debut YA thriller, Now She's Dead, which will publish June 3rd, 2025. That's coming up. You've got to be beyond stressed. Uh,
Very stressed.
and it is currently available for pre-order, and you get bonus points from me, and that's my friendship points because I can't afford to give anybody actual points, if you use the bookshop link in our show notes to buy it, as that will support both our little podcast here and indie bookstores. As a reminder, you could have asked Roselyn Clarke a lovely question by using the forums on our Discord server, so make sure you join our Discord today so that you never miss a chance to get your questions asked again. Right now, we're also hosting a giveaway to celebrate getting 500 total listens on the podcast. All you have to do is be a member on the Booked All Night Discord server, send at least one message, and then head over to the giveaway channel and click the ta-da emoji. It's the one that's like the little celebration one. And now, just to officially kick us off, Roselyn, can you give us a quick pitch for Now She's Dead?
I can, and I can just read it straight from the back of my author copy that I opened 5 minutes before this
It's
this
so
event.
exciting.
So it's
We've
very exciting. But yeah, Now She's Dead is a contemporary YA thriller, and last summer, Sarah Ellis was found dead by the lake, and only Mandy knows what really happened. This summer, she's desperate to keep it a secret. So you'll be following an unreliable narrator who's just an absolute ball of anxiety and guilt. And when she shows up to this mountain lake resort with her family for closure, for proving to her family that she's doing all right, she's absolutely not. Um, she discovers that her little sister has brought along a true crime podcaster to uh, try and really get to the bottom of this alleged accidental death of Sarah's the year before. So Mandy's having a terrible time, but you can have a great time reading about it.
So I am always curious about where a story starts in the mind of a storyteller. So what was the first scene that you thought of, and how did you know it was a story you wanted to explore?
For Now She's Dead, it's hard to say because Now She's Dead was a complete rewrite of a completely different book.
Ooh.
So it started out as an adult paranormal horror that I was querying, but the general concept of the pitch was pretty similar and therefore pretty thrillery. And so I was getting passes from agents that made clear um, that they had hoped it was going to be more like a thriller.
Mhm.
So I rewrote it as a YA contemporary thriller. Um, but I always knew I wanted it to be about in the original version it was a family keeping a secret. Um, and in this version it's Mandy keeping the secret by herself. And there's a few scenes that have survived, a small handful of scenes that have
Mhm.
survived the transition that I won't spoil, but uh, I really start from concept
Mhm.
typically, and go from there.
I do that as well, where I tend to have like the hook of the story versus the actual story, and then I struggle to get the rest of the story out. I I also have done like a major rewrite on one of my manuscripts when I was doing my master's project for it. It was a Sherlock Holmes retelling, like a gender
Ooh.
crossed, and I originally started it in middle grade and everybody was getting expelled. And then I was like, you know what? I think I want to do it YA and it could be a little darker. And so I started redoing the voice and I just kind of did like a find replace on the expulsions. And I was like, all the expulsions are now murders and and going through and reading it, a professor asked me like, well, why didn't you just kind of keep them all that way? Why did you have to go through? And I was like, well, there are seven, and seven expulsions I feel teachers can ignore. But if like seven of your students got murdered, in a month, I would hope that you'd be like, "Wow, this is a coincidence," and suspect something, you know?
Like, we have concerns.
Yeah,
Some concerns.
yeah, just like a few hairs getting raised on your back, maybe just, and so the answer is how much murder is too much murder, and the answer is seven. Seven murder is too much murder before somebody starts to realize that there's
It's
murder
fair.
happening. So in my not really deep dive because you just have this in your bio, but you are a student of psychology. So how did your background help you approach your character's inner workings and morally gray areas?
Well, I wasn't super into, the nitty-gritty, super enmeshed in the thriller genre before I pivoted to this from horror. There's overlap for
Yeah.
sure. Um, but I did know that I find books where the crux of the tension is like a false accusation, or are the police going to arrest them? It's too stressful for me. It's too much of that external threat. So I knew I really wanted to take a more internal approach, a little bit more psychological turmoil and um, guilt, and kind of imagine what it would be like for a main character if the thing making them fall apart was largely themselves. um, and yeah, I mean, that's Now She's Dead. Mandy's really falling apart, and some of it is on her.
I like that. I like that. So, without giving too much away, which is funny considering the first game that I decided to play today, without giving too much away, was there a particular scene in Now She's Dead that was especially challenging or rewarding to write?
Hmm. Um, yeah, the one that immediately comes to mind is very spoilery. It's toward the end. Um, but I will say that as people are reading it, hopefully people who listen to this will know which one I'm talking about. It's toward the end, and it's another flashback scene. Um, and it kind of pushes the reader a little bit more, um, to think about culpability. Um, and it was just rewarding to me. Like the whole book, you're going back and forth between how much Mandy did or didn't do, um, which pieces she's feeling like or is responsible for. And there's a scene toward the end that I hope will be kind of a oh no drop for readers, where you realize, oh yikes, no, we were so close to the end. I thought things were looking up. um
Oh, I love stuff like that. That gets into like audience participation theory and how we interact with stuff and just like, okay, like why are we siding this way or that way? And
Mhm.
that is a
There's a
completely
lot of
different
that.
podcast. Yeah, that's a completely different podcast, and we usually only do these interviews for an hour, so I'm going to curb my conversation on that for right now cuz I could just ramble about that. I love audience participation theory. But with that, we are officially at the first game of the podcast.
Oof.
Mhm. Okay. So this first game is called Never Have I Ever Spoiled My Own Book, which is why I
Oof.
was laughing that I had that as my last question before getting into here. So this one is one of our favorite games to play here at Booked All Night. It's very easy rules. I have 10 stereotypical writerly and readerly things to do. Things like written at a coffee shop, lost a pen, dog-dared a page, so on, are all on this list. But I am also incredibly petty and not above putting things on here like written a book called Now She's Dead. I'm just not. I've done that. So I will keep track of what you have and have not done, and if you have done 5 or more, you must spoil something from Now She's Dead. Your spoiler must be from beyond Act 1, but you can be as cryptic as you like about it. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Other than questioning myself whether I'm going to be able to think of anything that happens in the book, basically, or whether it will just be white noise in my head.
Right? I think every author, every writer goes through that. What's your book about?
Couldn't tell you.
Things, stuff, people, that verb all over the place. Yeah, I totally understand that. So the first one is, never have I ever revealed a major plot point to someone without realizing it was a spoiler.
Sorry, you cut out a little bit there at the end,
Oh,
but I know
I'm sorry.
without realizing that it was a spoiler, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, oh, see, really, yes, I have done that, and I can't get more specific than that without also creating a second spoiler again.
Oh, I love this game so much. So the next one is, never have I ever posted a picture of my writing drink on social media. So like your tea, your coffee, your
Oh,
soda, whatever.
of course I have.
Yeah.
What?
Right, who hasn't? I'm writing by taking pictures of my coffee and sending it to
What?
everybody. Yeah. Never have I ever guessed a plot twist before I read the book.
Yeah. Uh, well, yeah, now I've just forgotten every single book I've ever read. The one that pops to mind, and I actually haven't read the book because I'm pretty sure I know what happens, and it's too sad. We'll call that. We'll just say yes for that one.
I've done the reverse of this where I was like so convinced the thing, like, have you ever read They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera?
No.
Okay, so titularly, they both die at the end. There's no secret. It's in the blurb, it's in the title, it's said constantly throughout the book.
Uh-huh.
And we get to the end when they die, and I'm like, no, they can't. You lied to me. Like, you
Ooh,
wouldn't.
you had some optimism.
I did. I was like, there's no way because they're in love and love will save them. And
Yeah, no, I
no.
haven't read that book because I believed them when they said they both die at the end. And I said, I'm not a teenager anymore. My heart is weak. I don't want to spend an hour crying on the bathroom floor. I got other things to worry about.
Why don't you want to spend an hour on the bathroom floor? That's what all book nerds should do. Is just take your book, go to the bathroom, and just cry for an hour. It's very cathartic.
I'm older. I'm weaker. I'm scared. Maybe someday.
Maybe someday. Never have I ever changed a plot twist because someone figured it out too soon.
No,
Okay.
never done it.
Never have I ever skipped ahead in a book to see what happens next.
Ooh, no. I really like the surprise. Yeah,
Nice.
I famously avoided I just don't care, but I don't want to know. I'll get there when I get there, unless I explicitly ask someone for a spoiler. For instance, for a book like They Both Die at the End, I
Hmm.
will sometimes seek out from another person, like, hey, can you actually read this before me and tell me if I'm going to be emotionally devastated so I can prepare myself? Like, spoil the end.
Like the Queen's testers, but for books. I just need you
Yeah,
to make sure it won't cause me bodily harm. It's fine.
yeah.
It's fine.
Just I'll probably still read it, but like, just tell me how sad I'm gonna be.
Never have I ever used an actual bookmark.
No, I've got bookmarks that I use. Yes.
Because I know a lot of people are like, I use a receipt. Well, the receipt is not a bookmark.
I also use receipts.
Yeah.
I dog ear, and I hope that I'll remember, and I I do all of them.
I also dog ear, but I only dog ear books that are mine. I just want to be clear because every time I say that I dog ear pages, people are like, Jessica, no. But
I
like
also
they're
don't really
mine.
borrow books because I am a
Yeah.
hoarder.
Yeah. Oh boy. Okay, so never have I ever written a twist I thought was fantastic, only to find out it was cliche.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Nice.
Which, but no, I did just start writing thrillers, to be fair. At least there's that.
Fair enough. Never have I ever had a book spoiled for me.
Yeah. I've got Iron Widow sitting on my, I'm gonna finish it, but
We actually just finished doing our discussion series on Iron Widow, and oh man,
so yeah,
yeah, yeah.
sitting on my woof.
So, yeah, yeah. We're currently in Heavenly Tyrant, and
I'm so
oof.
excited though. I want to get to that, so I have to finish it.
Yes, finish that book. Finish it. All right. Never have I ever read over a scene too many times and still missed a glaring mistake.
Oh, always, always.
And the last one, never have I ever gotten so immersed in writing that I forgot to eat or take breaks.
No,
Mm,
I love. I'm always getting snacks. Could never be me.
yeah. I my favorite writing snack are actually the shoestring licorice laces because you just put one end in and you just keep chewing while you're doing your typing.
That's a
It's the
different
lazy,
one.
yeah, it's the laziest possible snack, but it's perfect. It does what it needs to do. So you have done over 5. You have done 6.
Okay, a spoiler from Beyond Act One that isn't a huge spoiler. Okay, give me a second. Oh God. Trying to think of where things fall. Um, and what's Beyond Act One? Okay, the this one of my favorite scenes from the original version of this book that was an adult paranormal horror um, made it into Now She's Dead. And it is a kind of half sleeping, half waking nightmare. And if you're a fan of, some light body horror and just horror in general, that scene is waiting for you. And it's one of my favorites. And it's just awful.
I am a fan of both of those things. Just funny because I'm squeamish, but okay. So back to some lovely questions. So Now She's Dead is your debut, which we established at the beginning. Very exciting, very stressful. How did your writing habits change during the query process? And what was the editing experience like once you were picked up by a publisher?
So I love publishing and talking about publishing because everyone's experiences are so different.
Yes.
And mine is different from the norm. So Now She's Dead, as I said, it was its own book that I quit, or the original of Now She's Dead was a different book that I queried, that I had beta readers read, that I revised multiple times, um, and that didn't get picked up as it was. And um, I entirely lost my train of thought. No, what was I saying? Oh, the just the editing experience too, once it gets picked up by a publisher. So when I was rewriting it from the original, um, because I knew I didn't really know how to write a thriller. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what the usual tropes were or how it's typically structured. And I read some YA thrillers, a couple adult thrillers, but it wasn't my most read genre. So I did not feel confident in trying to revise it myself. So I entered Author Mentor Match, which was a
Mm-hmm.
mentorship program that no longer exists, but was started by Alexa Dunn. And I got picked up by Paula Gleason, who has 2 adult crossover thrillers. No, she has one out, Original Twin, and then her second one, Boney Creek, actually comes out on June 3rd with my
Yay!
debut. So it's so special to me. I'm so excited. Uh,
Twinsies.
and she really helped me revise it into the ground. She has a great editorial eye for thrillers. We worked really well together and clicked, and she was um, supportively ruthless in pushing me
Mm-hmm.
to make it better and better. And so by the time it got picked up by a publisher, there were still edits to do. But for instance, I didn't really have to do any major structural. edits. Like there was a scene or there were some scenes added here and there. We did line edits and stuff, but I know there are people who, after they get picked up by a publisher, revise a third of the book.
Yeah.
It can happen. And for me, I'd already done that during author mentor match. I'd already rewritten the whole book almost. So I was really lucky there that a lot of the heavy lifting was done,
Yeah.
and that my publishing team could carry it the rest of the way.
Well, that's good. I always like hearing positive experience. I hear a lot of negative big publisher
Yeah, they
experiences.
did not trick me. They were very, they didn't say, "Oh, this looks so good. We're so excited. We'd love to sign it," and then um, make me rewrite a ton of it. It was
Yeah,
very much as expected from the first time I talked to my editor.
that's good. I did actually have someone in my MFA class where she had written her book, and we all loved it. It was really cute. It was like set in the 80s, and the girl's parents were getting divorced, and she was like obsessed with milk carton kids, so she kind of like cut them off of the milk carton and saved them like trading cards.
Mhm.
And they told her to write that part out. And I was like, "What? That's like the best quirk. What? Why?"
Aw.
So like it just completely changed the story and the feel of it, and it was like, why did you pick this up if you wanted her to just write a different book? But okay.
Mhm.
So this next question actually comes from a Libranaut on our server. Tanya Lan asks, when writing a thriller, what's the first thing you figure out which then sparks the entire story? And Tanya also wonders if it is wise to start from the big reveal and work backwards.
So, Now She's Dead was only the first thriller that I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I think with this one, I definitely start more with premise than a specific scene. Um, but everybody's writing process is different.
Mm-hmm.
There have been books that I've written around a certain scene that I knew I wanted to include. For this one, I would definitely say it was not written by figuring out the big reveal and working backwards, because it didn't have an end. It had an ending sort of in the first rewrite version, but it was one that I knew probably wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
I knew, one of the never have I ever questions you asked was like, have you ever written something you thought was good and turned out to be really cliched? And my answer was no, because I did write something pretty cliched one time, but I also knew it was probably, I wasn't like, wow, I've really nailed it on this one. I was like, call the help. Ooh. So yeah, this one eventually got an ending, but it definitely was not written from the big reveal back, especially because it starts out saying, you know, Mandy's culpable in this death.
Yeah.
So from the beginning that she's involved somehow, and you're piecing together, bits as you go.
Yeah. And the last question before we get to the next game is, when you come to a part of your story and you don't know which way to go, how do you approach making that decision?
A lot of panicking. Um, no, so it's hard. That's hard to answer at this point in time, because I am actively writing book 2 of my contract with Source Books Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's already under contract, and the way I think a lot of publishers work is, for a second book that's unwritten at the time, you write a synopsis. Um, and so I kind of know for the most part where the story's going as I write it. I love writing as a pantser when given the option. And in that case, I try to write fast enough that I don't really get stuck worrying about like which way to go,
Mm-hmm.
because once I do, things unravel. There's so many different ways that every single piece of a story can go. And I'm someone that gets really, really bogged down in that and might just never finish the book.
Yep.
I hate that feeling. It's probably my least favorite author feeling that exists, above even other hard times and hiccups that happen in publishing. It's the worst feeling for me.
Yeah.
The
Uh,
indecision of, oh, this would be great, but this would also be great. And I have to pick one and
yeah.
commit. At least for this draft.
Yep, it is. Big same. Big hard same. I hate that feeling. It's like hitting a giant wall.
It's like
And
the 30K mark always sneaks up on you too.
yeah, that 20-30K mark. I call it 20K limbo because now I
Mhm,
have to start making decisions and they
mhm.
affect everything after this. And I could sit down in a few days and hit that 20K mark, and then I hit that and the first thing comes up where I got to make a decision and I'm just like, crap. Yeah.
Like,
Everything
oh,
was
it's
going
over.
so well. That brings us to the second game of the podcast. Okay. So the second game is called Space 'em or Embrace 'em. It is a little storied game. So you are gallivanting across the galaxy with a stockpile of tropes and cliches when you suddenly find yourself getting sucked into a black hole. You have 10 pieces of your very predictable cargo, and you need to drop it in order to escape the gravitational pull. The problem is, the screen doesn't work so well, and you can only see two options at a time. I'm going to give you your cargo list by two items at a time, and you must choose to keep one and shoot another out the airlock. If you want, you can launch them both out the airlock. The first time we played this, we played it with Shelly Page, and she literally just launched every single one out the airlock. She's like,
Ellie,
God.
no. This is delightful. I'm so excited.
So I rolled a die earlier to see how many you can keep. Only I know that number, and we will keep cycling through until you manage to free yourself.
Uh-oh.
Do you have any questions?
No, I'm ready.
All right. Your first two are The Unreliable Narrator and Small Town Secrets Unraveling.
Small town
Unraveling.
secrets. Peace. Bye-bye.
Bye.
As in bye. Yeah.
Your next two that come up, the Everyone's a Suspect scenario and A Twisted Friendship That Turns Deadly.
Twisted. No. Keep twisted friendship.
Okay, and we'll launch Everyone's a Suspect.
Yes.
The next two are Journals or Letters Revealing Dark Secrets or A Detective with a Troubled Past.
Keep journals or letters.
Journals. Okay. The next two are Dual Timelines That Slowly Converge or An Eerie House That Seems to Have a Mind of Its Own.
Keep eerie house.
Keep Eerie House. And the next two are Gaslighting as a core plot device
Oh.
or A Shocking Final Twist That Changes Everything.
Ooh, I love keep shocking final twist.
Okay. Your next two are The Unreliable Narrator or A Twisted Friendship That Turns Deadly.
Keep the twisted friendship.
Twisted Friendship. The next two are Journals or Letters Revealing Dark Secrets or An Eerie House That Seems to Have a Mind of Its Own.
Keep eerie house.
Keep the Eerie House. And you have finally managed to escape the black hole. Your remaining tropes and cliches are A Twisted Friendship That Turns Deadly, An Eerie House That Seems to Have a Mind of Its Own, and A Shocking Final Twist That Changes Everything.
Perfect. I can work
Lovely.
with that.
And our last set of questions, the silly and unhinged section where I just kind of went nuts. So, Now She's Dead. If Now She's Dead were adapted into a reality TV show instead of a thriller, what would it be called and who would be the most dramatic contestant?
Ooh. I don't watch a lot of reality TV
Neither
because
do
I'm
I.
always watching murder documentaries. Let's see. What would it be called? Oh my gosh. What do you even call it? I'm like, literally the only thing playing in my head right now is Love is Blind, and that's all my brain will supply me with. Murder Mountain or something.
Murder Mountain. So take it.
The most dramatic character. Oh, that'd be Natalie. It's
Natalie.
gotta be Natalie.
Murder Mountain.
She's doing too much.
Murder Mountain, more seasons than Survivor. At
Yeah.
least every season somebody dies. It's fine. It's fine. The next question is, you are given a chance to host a seance with any three fictional characters. Who's invited and what questions are you dying to ask?
Hosting a seance with the fictional characters as my fellow like seance hosters or as the ghosts that I want to ask questions of.
Hmm. I didn't think about that part writing this question. You can choose whichever you would like to go with.
Fictional characters. Okay. I'm gonna go with asking the fictional characters. Like they've been invited to the hosted seance.
Okay.
I guess well, they're also not dead, so they're not really ghosts, but they're close to the party. What have I just read? Well, I'm looking at my bookshelf. um, um, who do I want to ask? See, so me as a reader, I'm just so willing to accept what people like put in the book. I'm like, yeah, great. No questions, no notes. Perfect. I would want to talk to one of the characters from Boys with Sharp Teeth, which is coming out from Jenny Howell, um, April 8th. And that book was emotionally rough. um, and who would I want to talk to from there? I think I'd want to talk to Henry. No questions. I just want to talk. Like what's going on in that little brain of yours, buddy? What's happening? Um, highly recommend that book. Um, I would definitely invite the I can't remember what the boy's name was. Logan or Delilah from The Obsession.
Mm.
Because I just love that book. That was one of my favorite early thrillers that I read. I don't I feel like I would want to talk to Delilah. And gosh, ask her what it was what it was like as you realize things were going horribly wrong with Logan. um and and I had another one and I got so distracted as I was talking. I'm so bad at this. Oh my goodness. All of my brain cells just out the window. Um and
That's fine.
look at all my bookshelves. I can't. It's like choosing a favorite book. I just can't.
I know personally that I would choose Rune Winters and Gideon Sharp from the Crimson Moth series, and then just kind of throttle them and ask them why they never talked to one another and just bang their heads together.
I haven't actually read those yet. The
Well, they never
miscommunication.
talk to each other. Yeah.
Perfect.
2 whole books, never once talking to each other, just bash their heads together.
As someone who never talks to anyone ever, if it's possible to avoid it, I actually find the miscommunication trope very relatable.
Yeah.
I'm so forgiving of it, but as I said, I'm a very forgiving reader.
Oh,
Within reason.
It's one of my immediate launch out the airlock ones for
Oh
Space
no.
and Breeze. So the next question we have is, in an alternate universe where you're a detective instead of an author, what's your signature catchphrase when you solve a case?
Oh, when I solve a case, because I had one ready. In fact, if you can't tell from Now She's Dead, I actually have no detective bones in my body. So my catchphrase as a detective would have been something like, not my body, not my problem, not my murder, not my problem. Elsewhere, I'm not the one for you. Um, when I saw the case, it would probably be like, wow, who knew? Um,
Who'd
I
have guessed?
am not the Natalie of life. I have very little main character energy for the thriller genre and also maybe for the fantasy genre, which I also write. I love writing it. I love reading it. Uh, as a person, watch someone else solve it. That's great.
Yeah. So, also in your bio, you mentioned that you like to go out shopping for plants that may or may not survive. So, how many plants have you killed?
Oh, I wish you were sitting right next to me right now. I'd show you. Oh gosh. I've killed a lot, but I've also a lot are surviving right now. I mean, I have see that plant right there? Look how good that baby's
Yeah,
doing.
look at him do. He's
It's
doing so
so
good.
my mom has a green thumb even though she doesn't behave as such, but
Mhm.
none of her plants die. So she sends me home with plants a lot as she gets kind of overrun by them. This peace plant doing great. However, she also sent me home recently with an aloe plant. She has tons of aloe and it's just growing out of its mind. So she sent me home with one. She was like, "Hey, this is doing too well. It's so strong that it's filled the pot and it needs repotting." Well, half of it's dead now. I repotted it. It is brown and like this like sad kind of weird purple color before it turns fully brown. It's dead. It's just dead. The
Oh.
other half of the repot is like curling over, but when I water it, it also dies. Things aren't going well.
Oh.
She sent me home with a plant that was actually mine that I'm actually devastated by this. I'm going to be laughing, but I'm really devastated. um, I had I had a plant that I got as a I want to say maybe 5th grade, 4th grade present.
Oh wow.
I am 33 now. So it's been a while. And under my mom's care, it thrived. It kept growing. It was doing great. It had to be repotted several times. I mean, it went from this cute little plant to this, nice big buddy. And she didn't have space, so she sent it home with me a couple years ago now. Oh my god, it was dead within like 3 months. I think this one wasn't my fault. I think it was allergic to something in the water in my state, like it was more sensitive to, I hope. Because
Mhm.
also I killed another plant that was in the same like genus,
Yeah.
if that's the right word. And it died in a very similar way. So I
Oh.
think it was the water. Um, so
Yeah.
5 or 6, I don't know. But I've also got several that are doing great. Snake plants, pothos. There's like a monstera.
I
Um,
actually killed a snake plant. Yeah.
ooh,
Yeah, my I
ooh,
told yeah, I told my mom about
ooh.
it because I was like, we had my grandmother passed a few years ago. We live in her house, and I've managed to keep most of the plants alive. And like some of these plants are older than me, right? My grandmother, like my great grandmother, grew some of these plants, and my grandma just like took them after great grandma died. And I'm like determined not to kill these plants, but this one small spider plant I have killed, and my I told my mom about it. And she's like, I don't want to say I'm impressed.
Those are those
Those
are
are
strong.
really hard to kill.
Yeah, my mom has 2 that are beasts. Like,
Yeah.
they ripped out of the ceiling, like, stud they were in. They got so heavy, it broke the chain on the just
Yeah. And I'm like, oh. But I've revived the pothos in the kitchen. I have
okay.
managed to not kill the pothos, but
Those are
I
durable.
absolutely killed a spider plant. And now I have actually what's really been helping me the water bulbs. Like there's like glass ones and plastic
Uh-huh.
ones, and you fill them up with water, you stick them in, and then when the plant needs water, it drains out of the bulb, so you don't have to constantly
I
be
might
like,
need to
"How
get
is
one
your
of
soil?"
those for this
Yeah,
peace plant because it's in a sunny spot, so it's so dramatic.
yeah,
It keeps wilting within, like, 3 days, and all the leaves just, ugh, ugh.
yeah.
Then you
That's what
water it, it
happens.
starts right back up.
I forget what kind of plant it is, but that's what happens to one of the ones up in the living room. It's just like it goes a it, I miss my Saturday watering by an hour, and it's like I've died.
Yeah,
I can no
calm
longer
down,
live. Yeah.
calm down.
the This last question of the interview, and then I have one last one that we ask all of our guests. But I think this one's going to be a staple because I really like the answers I'm getting to it. And that is Now She's Dead gets adapted into a Muppets movie. Who plays which role? And most importantly, who plays the only human character?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I I don't know any of the Muppets except and Miss Piggy. I can picture them. I don't know a single one of their names.
Oh, wow.
Um, I missed the boat on the Muppets, like, hard.
Oh, no.
I've seen the Muppet Christmas movie,
Mhm.
um, where that's the ca in there one there's it's Dan Michael Caine
Yeah, it's Michael Caine.
plays the one human.
Yeah.
Um, I would just love to I always think of Jason Segal.
Mhm.
My gosh, I know there's I can never remember which version last name, but the, like, Forgetting Sarah Marshall guy and,
Yeah.
Shrinking, How I Met Your Mother, I'm trying to think of what he could potentially be in Now She's Dead to put him with only Muppets, because I feel that he would deeply appreciate that, given that he works, like, the Dracula puppet show into pretty much everything he possibly can reference it in at this point. I'm convinced he's gonna make it happen. Um Was he already involved in a Muppets thing? He
Yeah, he
was,
was
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so he'd be a good fit, but what could he be in? Um, mm, yeah, I don't know any of the Muppets, so I'm so
Oh,
sorry to ruin
no.
your trend.
Well, you have homework to do when we're done here today, and that is to familiarize yourself with Muppets. It's important to me
Yes.
mostly, but so finally, and we ask this of all of our guests because books take a lot more than one person to get out into the world, is there anyone that you would like to thank today? Anybody from writer friends to editors, agents, marketers, and publishers?
Yes, all of them. No. Um, Obviously, big thanks to Paula because she introduced me to the world of writing thrillers. Support us both on June 3rd.
Yay!
I'm sure we'll do some sort of like celebration together online, even though she's off in Australia. Um, my agent, Chelsea Hensley, my editor, Wendy at Sourcebooks and the whole Sourcebooks team, my CPs, AJ Cosgrove and Jennifer Mandula. And Jennifer actually has a book coming out in 2026 called The Geomagician. They have to listen to me all day, every day for for book things, author panic things. Uh, Tanya, who left a question, has to listen to me nonstop too. Um, yeah, it's the author community is great.
That's great.
So many people and so supportive.
That is wonderful to hear. And that is also a wrap for today's interview. So
Oh, I
thank you
will
so
also add, I did mention, sorry, Jenny
yeah.
Howell is going to be my conversation partner at my launch event at People's Book on June 3rd in Tacoma Park. So huge
Yeah.
thanks to Jenny for, being a buddy and also for coming to celebrate the launch with me.
Yay, that's exciting. People should go if you're in the area. Maybe take a J trip if you're not in the area. Author events are like hard to get to these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And for those at home, if you enjoyed the stream, don't forget to hit that follow button so you never miss an episode. You can also join the conversation over on the Booked All Night Discord and find us on Threads and Instagram at Booked All Night Pod. I do, in fact, love chatting with everybody, so go ahead and hit us up. If you want to support the podcast, check out our bookshop for books and store for some cool merch, all of which can be found on our website, bookedallnight.co. Until next time, my little Libranauts, keep reading, keep those thoughts in orbit, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.